Empower life with Cleopatra. Awaken the best version of you. Oh, 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 oh. Your journey starts today. You've got one life to live. Love yourself, be kind to others, break free and let your spirit soar. Empower life with Cleopatra will help you awaken the best version of you. Empower life with Cleopatra. Oh, 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 oh. Empower life with Cleopatra. Oh, 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 oh.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. If you're in the chat, put something in the chat. It's going to be a good one tonight. Guys, from now on, I'm not going to faff about because we're talking about serious business, all right? So I'm just going to go straight into it tonight because I am so excited. So you guys already know who I'm going to be interviewing tonight anyway. So welcome to the show. Welcome. Please put something in the chat. Let me know you are here. Right? Wherever you're tuning in from, welcome home. That's what I'm going to say. Welcome home. Tonight, guys, we light a match. Not to destroy, but to illuminate. Not to burn bridges, but to walk boldly into the shadows that too many women have been left to navigate alone. This episode is not about motherhood. It's not just about motherhood. It's about the motherhood no one wants you about. Yeah. The one that comes without a partner, without a lifeline, sometimes without a plan. It's for the women that hold their babies with one arm and hold back their tears with the other. The ones who've been laced up for work, they've got the fake smile, but, sometimes they get back home and they collapse with guilt, exhaustion, and, most of the time, grace, because somehow they pull through it. They are labeled strong. But did anyone ever stop to ask if they wanted to be warriors or if they were just surviving a war they did not start? Tonight, we sit in truth, we sit in power, and we are going to be diving more into this topic. But first of all, thanks to everyone who's subscribed so far. If you have not done that, please subscribe. It's free. Like I said last week, we put in a lot of effort, a lot of work into the show, and would appreciate it if you could just support us by just subscribing. So show us some love, all right? Subscribe now as we speak, and then share it also with someone. If you're going to be watching this replay, guys, please watch it till the end so that YouTube will, be kind enough to push this message on and this video to somebody else, right? If you've got any confessions to make, if you've got any ideas on how we can improve this show, please send an email to empowerlifewithcleopatra@gmail.com. Empowerlifewithcleopatra@gmail.com. Now, joining us is a woman who doesn't wear pain as a decoration, right? She wears it like an armor, forged in fire. But tonight, she's going to lay it down, right? Mercy G is a force, a trailblazer in health and social care with over 2 decades of impact in mental health services across London. She's the founder of One Life, One Love Foundation, a mentor, a public speaker, creative artist, and healing voice for communities in crisis. Through media, music, and besides, she sings really well, actually, and movement, she turns trauma into testimony. And tonight, she's not here to be admired. She's here to be real. Trust me. So grab a cup of coffee and some chocolates and let's get into it, okay? Let's just welcome, guys. Please help me welcome the remarkable, the powerful, the unstoppable Mercy G. Welcome, my darling. Welcome.
What an intro. Was that me?
That's who you is, girl. That's who you is.
And I own it.
Thank you. Good. So, tell us about yourself, first of all. Tell us about your background, where you grew up, how you met your partners, and so on and so forth.
Okay, so I'm a bit of a funny one. It's kind of hard to get where I'm from just by looking. Sometimes you can, but I was born in Ghana and I came to the UK when I was just like 2 years old and didn't get to go back till I was like 18. And that was because I wanted to get back. And, my parents came over and really made sure we had the basics that we needed to be able to learn and thrive in the UK. But that came with a few bumps along the way because as they were navigating the change of being in the UK, we were also navigating, growing up in the UK. So some would say I was a baby, two and a half, growing up here. But it meant that I was really faced with a lot of diversity and so you find that my accent changes. I've got, West Indian accents. I've got real British accents. I'm still my African self, if I need to be. So that I'm quite, diverse myself as a person. So yeah, that was my kind of upbringing. I was always a go-getter. I was always, into singing, always performing arts, always front stage, but never liked the attention. Liked the doing, but didn't like the attention. And I was always too grown for my age, you know. And I think maybe that feeds into who I am as an adult. When I say too grown for my age, I mean that I enjoyed intellectual conversations very early. I
Mm,
enjoyed being around people who were older than me, or who had something interesting to say, and I learned
right.
how to kind of have not arguments, but debate and get
Yeah.
into things and wouldn't just take things at face value. I'd like to look into it a bit more. And so yeah, it was that kind of upbringing. My parents were quite strict, I would say. They
Yeah.
brought Africa to the UK
I love that. I love that.
in terms of discipline. They
Yes.
didn't they didn't hold back on that sense. So, I still hold some very strong African values, cultural values, as a person, as a parent. But some of it was very tough growing up. And some of it, I didn't agree with. In that it made it difficult to integrate here and
Mm,
understand like why do we do certain things culturally? Why is it okay to ignore children, let's say, or not have children in your presence, or go to your
mm,
room? Why I
yes.
I questioned a lot of cultural things, but grew to respect some and grew to leave some behind.
Mm. As you do, as you do, I
Yeah,
mean, I know for a fact that sometimes I say to myself, I wish, our parents didn't know any better, I guess, because there's certain
absolutely.
things that they instilled in us that wasn't right in certain ways, telling somebody at 10 or 11 years old, if a guy kisses you, you're going to get pregnant. I don't
Yeah,
know about that, but yeah, they would do things like that. But I guess it was just to keep us on the straight and narrow. So
yeah,
I guess, yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So how did you meet your partners?
Funny enough, I my first partner, I met on the bus, and
Mm,
funny enough, I had heard about him, but I didn't know him. And it was a bit of a one of my uncles were always trying to hook us up, but I didn't know who he was trying to hook me up with. And I happened to get on a bus with my cousin, and then we kind of met, and he knew my cousin. So although my uncle was trying to hook us up, he actually knew my cousin that I was with on the bus, and we started talking because he knew of her, and I thought that he wanted to get with her, being that they knew each other from Ghana. But no, he was interested in me, and he put up a good chase. That's one of the things that I have to give him hats off for. He didn't give up.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. And what about the other one?
And the other one, it was a bit of a was interesting because that was industry kind of thing, being in the entertainment industry. We were both in the industry, but also both going through changes in life.
Mm,
And those changes is what kind of drew us together
mm,
and understanding where we're both coming from. And so I sought comfort in that. that,
Mm.
he understands where I'm coming from, and also the fact that, he also enjoyed children. And so for me, that was all kind of positives.
Mm.
But yet still had this kind of firm character
Mm.
about him. So yeah, it was industry. One was industry, the other one was by chance on the bus.
Oh, oh, that's
Yeah.
really cool. Nice story. Okay, let me quickly take this chat before I ask you the next question. Lady, hi, lady. You're new. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining, my darling. Nelly says, I'm a single mom and I can almost predict her experiences. Girl, listen, send me a message, empowerlife with Cleopatra at gmail.com. Come and share your experience as well, okay? Robin, hi. Robin says, "Boo shaka." Yeah, that's a phrase not expected of me. Robin, why not? You can say it too. Hi, Ayo. Thank you so much, Ayo, for joining. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And Robin says, I'm sure the Mercy story is one of someone who asked her for a namesake, Mercy, and now, after surviving and getting through it all, provides even more to those who need it. So
Oh,
exactly.
thank
So
you.
now you're providing more mercy to those who need it.
Oh,
Hey, I
yeah.
like that, Robin. That's a good one.
Yeah.
I like that. Miri,
Yeah.
hi, darling. Thank you so much for joining. Robin, JC, what's you're not feeling it? What aren't you feeling? Let's see the fire. What fire? Fire. Oh, and unsurprisingly from you, your friends, she's gorgeous. A first impression from the outside, not from the inside. Robin, but Robin thinks you're gorgeous, Mercy. That's nice.
Okay. Oh, good.
And JC says, let's have it. Riri says, easy, oh. Exactly, easy, oh, JC. No,
We've
bring
just
it on, JC.
started. We've
We're
just
ready for
started.
you,
We're warming up.
JC. We're just warming up. Exactly. Maureen, good evening, sis. Welcome, 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 welcome. Right, Mercy. All right, let's do this. All right. So why did the relationships, both of them, why did they fail?
I'm not gonna do that pity party thing. But what I will say is that I believe I didn't do enough due diligence in ensuring that our values aligned.
Mm,
And for me, that's something that I think I need to take forward. And when I say values aligned, something simple like, for me, it's important that both sides are there when there are birthdays, let's say.
mm-hmm,
Is it important for you to be there at your child's birthday? For me, it is. But for some, they didn't grow up like that. It doesn't, that value is not there for them. Is it important for you to have an oversight over all your money and come together with your woman and understand the outgoings and out ingoings? For some, no. If so she can handle it, then let her handle it. If that's the
mm,
way she wants to do it or he wants to do it, let them do it. So for me, I'm realizing, and people always ask me, what did you do wrong for it not to work? I always get that. What did you do wrong? No, because you seem to put on this perfect facade, but what
mm,
did you do wrong? And I always say, well, initially I used to be like, I didn't do anything. I actually tried my hardest to be the best that I could be, but it wasn't good enough. But now looking back, there's this rhetoric of enabling certain things, and
mm-hmm,
I do believe that a lot of that was enabling due to what I had seen, due
mm,
to some of the things that I grew up seeing, I enabled, due to some of the things that I grew up hearing, I enabled, due to my cultural settings, I enabled, and my faith settings, I enabled. So I think that is one of the reasons why I enabled for too long without kind of
mm,
being clear and saying, this is something that I will definitely break me and will break
mm,
us. That's the key thing.
mm,
This is
mm,
something that will definitely break me at some point because I cannot tolerate this or I cannot tolerate that. So I think that I would definitely say that's what broke. That's what kind of ended things. That's why it failed because
mm,
not that I can't say in terms of what they did. There were things that they did that I didn't agree with. That really it wasn't acceptable. And sometimes this is around the mental, the physical, the emotional. And we use the term abuse, but if somebody feels a certain way when you do something and it is harming them, that is
mm.
abuse.
Yeah,
That is abuse.
absolutely.
Especially if the person is telling you what
Mm,
you're doing is harming me, what you're doing is hurting me. And it continues. And when we look at what the definition for that is abuse. If
mm,
you're continuing to do something intentionally that you know is harming somebody, and they've told you it's harming them, that
Mm.
is abuse. So I would say with that.
Okay, okay, okay. Wow. Okay, so how were you or are you able to juggle motherhood and career?
Initially, I was. So let me just, because you mentioned the two partners. So married, I was throughout my first marriage, I was working. So I was 5 years in my marriage, and I still didn't have children. So there was a lot of pressures there
Mm,
to have a child initially. And then when I finally did have my first son, which I prayed into existence, um, and it was like, wow, I thought some of the issues that we were having in the marriage were due to the fact that I hadn't had a child. But when that
mm,
child came along, it was like, okay, some of these things are still happening. Like, what's going on? But I
mm,
continued to work, and I was so fortunate that my mom helped me look after my first child,
mm,
and which meant I could carry on working. So even though there was pressure, it was not as much for me because I had my mom and my family members.
mm,
My second girl, there's a big 8 year gap between my first and my second. And so again, there was pressures, so I worked, juggling, would rush home, you know, but there was pressures because where's the second child? Give us one more. And in my language would say, and in term, hurry up, like, hurry up and have another child. Have them together so you don't struggle, things like that.
mm,
But it just wasn't coming. So I really put myself into work. Even with my first child, I didn't spoil him because I had other children that I had mothered, my sister's children and others. But it was okay. The first and second, it was okay. It wasn't until I kind of knew at some point that my marriage wasn't working. And I think that was probably 10 years into the marriage,
mm.
I'd say.
Oh, 10
Um,
whole years. Okay.
yeah, 10 years into the marriage, I had wanted to give up. And
Mm,
I was ready to throw in the towel and say, call it a day. But faith wise, God was like, no, you're not
mm,
ready. And I
mm,
say that boldly because I was like, no, I've had enough. But I hadn't told anybody 10 years into the marriage. I was the one that would kind of cover up all the cracks,
mm-hmm,
look so good in public, so everybody would see Mercy G smiling, praise and worship leader, I'm singing, oh, is there some, and they would see some issues, but she's still happy, she's
mm-hmm.
still joyful,
Yeah.
you know, but I was still working. But
Mm,
it was in having the second child that I realized, and I prayed for her, even though I knew the marriage was coming to an end. I prayed and I asked God, God, please just give me another child. You made me, and I was blaming God. I was like, you made me stay in this relationship for an extra 5 years, and in that 5 years we didn't have a child. Please, God, bless me with a child because you know that I'm not just a mother who, because some people just want to have children, but I wanted to impact. I wanted to teach the things that I knew I needed to learn earlier. I wanted to teach them things. And so, fortunately enough, or God willing, I was able to, as I had separated, I
mm,
found out I was pregnant. And, it meant for me that kind of shook. I asked for it, but it shook the foundations.
mm,
I
mm,
prayed for it, but it was like when I realized that I was and we were separated, it was like, oh my gosh, does that mean I've got to stay in this marriage? How am I going
mm.
to cope?
Actually, so what were their behaviors? What was it that really triggered you to say, look, I can't deal with these people. I can't deal like with the first one or with the second one. What were those behaviors that was the thing that said, okay, like that's it, I'm done with these people? What was that?
I think the main thing was the emotional side, the not talking, the shouting, the environment was becoming what they would call toxic.
Mm,
And I would always feel like on edge, walking on eggshells. I could never really say anything without feeling like there was going to be some a rebuttal in
mm,
change of mood, and there'd be weeks without conversation, days without conversation. And anybody that knows me, I like to kind of nip things in the bud and move on. Tell you what has gone wrong, and then let's love again. And that was never the case. So for me, the emotional side of it was really challenging. And it was to the point where you could slowly see the change in me. And I realized that this is not effective. This is not working. Um,
Mm.
so I think there was a lot of emotional, what I would call emotional abuse there.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, but yet that other party didn't see it as that. Even in the conversations and the discussions, they didn't see it as that because that's what they were used to.
Mm.
It's what they were used to.
Mm.
So yeah, I think there might have been a little bit of a culture clash, even though we were both from Ghana, but at the same time, there was still this element of, not really understanding why it's important to have conversations. It's important to not ignore somebody.
Mm.
It's important to have conversations about finances and know what's going on. Them really stepping up and taking up that leadership role so that
Mm.
I shouldn't still feel like I'm single. And this is a
Mm.
lot of things. This is a lot that, a lot of women who are married now, they're married, but they're single. They're in their
Yeah.
marriage, but they're
Single
working.
married women, single married
Yeah,
men. Yeah.
they're functioning as single women.
Yeah.
Not to say that he wasn't doing some things. He was. He was doing some things, and he was trying his best to be a good father as well. But like my mum always said, which maybe wasn't right for me, but she always used to say, there are men that are good husbands and not good fathers, and there are men that are good fathers who are not good husbands. And for me, it's like, why can't they be both? I mean, why should I have to settle with him being a good father but not being a good husband to me?
Mm.
So yeah, it was that. And then
Mm.
obviously things escalate when you go from the verbal side of things as well. For me,
Mm.
verbal was I don't swear, I don't even like it around me. Uh,
Mm.
we've had a zoom in.
Yes, we have.
Like I just saw myself coming in. Um, yeah, I don't swear. I don't like foul language around me, and I could tell that some of the frustrations it was starting to generate that, and for me that was
Mm.
problematic, especially around the children. And so yeah, that was an
Mm.
issue.
Mm. Okay, okay. So, like, looking back now, then, do
Um,
you feel like you were punished for choosing the wrong man, or do you still carry this emotional or financial resentment for them? Oh, Mercy, are you there? Oh, I think. Oh, 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 oh.
am I back?
Mercy, are you there? Yeah, you're back. What happened? Okay.
Not sure what happened there. When it
Okay,
zoomed in, it kind of did something. I don't know.
okay, it's all right. It's all right. You're good now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Um,
So, I was asking, do you kind of like looking back though, do you feel you were punished for choosing the wrong man, or do you still carry this sort of emotional or financial resentment towards them?
I think initially I did,
Mm.
uh, but I was able to process it. The financial side of things was that I feel like I or we should have definitely. I don't know what's up with this
No, it's fine. Don't touch it. It's
thing.
fine. Thing is okay.
Um, yeah, I really believe that I should have been more vocal. People know
Mm.
me to be vocal generally. People know me to be outspoken. But I think what people don't realize is that some of us, I may be the manager outside, I may be the singer, the artist, the performer outside, but inside, when I'm within an institute or whatever, I respect roles. I'm a
Mm-hmm.
respecter of roles. I'm a respecter of people. So, oh my gosh, what's going on?
Yeah, you seem to be freezing, but I can hear
Yeah,
you though. I can see you now. You're fine.
yeah, but something's which hasn't ever happened before. Something's not right.
It's
Yeah,
fine though.
it's fine. Okay.
Yeah.
But it keeps going dark on my side and then coming off, which is not
Okay. It's fine. It's
I don't know
fine.
why it's done that. Okay, so yeah, so there was this element of just knowing that I'm a respecter of roles, I'm a respecter of people, and so inside, my husband is my husband.
Mm-hmm.
Inside, the man of the house is the man of the house. Inside, I expect that you lead me. I expect that you take charge. I'm not going to be speaking over you. I don't generally like arguing, and I would keep quiet a lot.
Mm.
I would say what I need to.
Oh gosh. Mercy, are you there? Oh my goodness. Mercy, are you there? Okay.
Today
You're
is
back.
I'm back, but I don't know what's going on here.
Okay, let me just
Okay,
take you back to the to
that's
this
I
maybe.
think that should be okay now if you can see me.
Okay, yeah, you've gone into the portrait mode, not landscape. You're now in
Oh, okay,
portrait now.
okay,
Yeah, there you go.
okay.
Okay, much
Hopefully
better.
this should be okay now because it's gone back
Yeah.
to the normal screen it was.
Okay.
Sorry,
Good.
sorry, people. Technical things. Yeah, so yeah, I'm really that person who's a respecter of roles. I do my job really well. Whatever I do, I
Mm,
give it 100%. So if I'm bringing the fire, you need
mm,
to bring the heat. If you're bringing the heat,
right.
and we need to be able to
Me
work.
halfway. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that wasn't happening in the first
Mm,
and the second marriage, in the first and the second relationship. I think
mm,
I overdo things. I give too much. I give a lot, and
mm,
anybody that would know me would know that to be of truth. I don't do anything half. If I'm with
mm,
you, whether you're my sister, my friend, whoever, if I'm giving you some
mm,
of me, you're gonna get all of me. All
mm.
of this juice.
All of them juice, girl.
Yeah, you're gonna get all of this. Yeah.
JC says, Mercy, we never see our wrongs in the relationship. Most times we overlook the imperfections in us and try to perfect our partner's way of life and again fail to adjust to all the issues of juggling with the activities of blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I think he just put XXX. So what we carry on, JC, carry on, JC.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
it
on
takes
that
two.
note,
Yeah.
interestingly enough, that when I said that I kind of bailed out of the marriage, I wanted to 5 years
Mm,
earlier. My prayer before that was God change him, change him. So he's right. Initially, I
mm,
used to pray, Lord, change him, change him. But I received this revelation where I was like, no, I need to give you the grace to be able to see you, to take the
mm,
logs out of your eyes, to
mm-hmm,
stop looking at him and check yourself. What are you doing? And so
mm,
that prayer changed to
mm,
Lord, change me, show me. And so for the
mm,
last 5 years, I really believe I needed that to work
mm.
on myself a lot
Yeah.
more. Otherwise, I would not have been strong enough to come out the other end or to have
Mm,
dealt with some of the repercussions that came out of leaving a marriage,
mm,
which included, people saying all sorts of things,
mm,
which included all the, oh, why are you divorcing? Why are you, all the things that you can imagine comes with that. And from the
mm,
married women, from the single women, oh, you've got a man and you're letting him go. Oh, there was just so much. It was just
yeah.
so much.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So, have you ever regretted though being a mother? Not because you don't love your children, but because you feel maybe you lost a lot as as a woman. Maybe you lost being you missed the fun of being a single woman, or just without a child or children. So, have you ever regretted being a mother?
I guess I'd say no, because like I said, I waited 5 years to have my first child in marriage, and then the second at 8 years. So yes, it was challenging. And what I knew for sure, I can say this, what I knew for sure is that I wasn't going to be one of those people who said, I'm staying in it for the sake of the children.
Mm,
In actual fact, it was the opposite. It was, I need to get out for the sake of the children because my
mm,
son was starting to be impacted by this to the extent where he was verbalizing, to the extent where he was verbalizing what he was observing.
mm,
Like I said, because I was separated when I got pregnant. When I say separated, we were no longer we're under the same roof, but no longer together. He was observing things, and he was able to tell the midwife, "Look, this is what I've seen." And so for
mm,
me, that was the kind of point where I said, "No, even though we would try to work it out, no, this is not going to work."
mm,
So I
mm,
can't say that I feel. Um, you know, anything for being a mother. That I think that's part of that as part of it was always my
mm,
calling to mother. I mothered before I became a mother, you know.
mm,
So no. But yeah, let's keep it real. There's
mhm.
times where I need to step out. There's times where it's so challenging, it's physically exhausting.
Yeah,
It's not by choice that I would be juggling all of this by myself.
yeah.
There's no one else to kind of you need to take the kids to school, but you're really sick. You can't just
Mm,
If you're that sick, you cannot take the kids to school. How are you going to
Mm.
physically get out of the bed when you're physically unable to? There's no one there to say, "Oh, babe, I'm really not in a good way today.
Yeah.
Can you get the kids to school?" Or I need you to. There's no second person to gist with or to say, "Oh, we've got all these bills to sort out. Can you sort do this one and while I do this one?" You don't have that.
Mm. Mm.
So, being a mum and having that to do all of that, there's multiple appointments. You've got to sort out all their lives as well as
Mm-hmm.
your own.
Yep.
It's a lot.
It's a
It's a
lot.
lot.
It's a lot, definitely. JC says, Cleopatra, why are you referring to her exes as these people? Did I? Okay, I didn't realize, but okay, these men, or should I say these
Maybe
men?
just because she doesn't know them. So,
And then he says, Mercy, did you ever understand? Did you ever date these men? Did you ever date them? And then he continues to say, Mercy, do they ever understand your challenges? So did you ever date them? And like before you really started having kids with them,
yeah,
did you
yeah.
date them? And do they understand your challenges currently, I guess?
Did I date? Yeah. So, my first husband, we dated for 3 years before we got married.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
I actually, one of the reasons why I felt confident was because he was very on it. He did all the nice things. This is another thing that kind of maybe didn't make the relationship work. It started off really lovely.
Mm,
He would write love letters, love cards, you know, teddy bears, and I'm an over romantic. I don't care. I love the flowers. I know a lot of
mhm.
women don't. I love the flowers.
I
I
do.
love the little gestures. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to be grand.
Yeah.
You know, I love communication and I love touch and feel. For me, when we talk about love languages, that is my love language.
Yeah.
Touch, feel, communication, smiles. That little acknowledgement here and there. All those
Mm,
things. So with the first one, that was happening, and
mm,
that kind of drew me in, and also faith, having faith. Being
mm,
of faith, not necessarily religious, but someone that I could see wanted to be better and know better and, get closer to God. That was important for me.
mm,
And so he had that. So we dated and, I believed it was the right fit. But what I didn't do enough of was know that there were some background issues for him.
mm.
I brought my background issues as well. And that would
Right.
be around parenting and the way we grew up. Because the way you grow up really does impact how you relate in relationships.
True.
Who you had around. Did you have your
Hmm.
mother around? Did you have your father around? Were your parents together? Were they not together? All of that really impacts how you relate to your partner. Are
Mm,
you someone who takes counsel? Are you someone who listens to someone who's more senior or someone who's more
mm,
experienced? I never took all those things into account. And I would tell myself now that that is important. If I'm going in again, does that person have a go-to person who is, more senior or that you can
mm.
actually listen to? Take,
Yeah, like a
uh,
mentor or somebody they look forward
yeah,
to, the respect. Yeah.
yeah, because that wasn't there.
Mm,
That wasn't there for both. And so I think if we want to call it a red flag, maybe that was it. Whereas I really don't mind apologizing. I really don't mind saying sorry. I really don't
mm,
mind reflecting. In fact, those are the things that have strengthened me big time. Just being
mm,
able to say, oh, yeah. Because who wants to trip up and keep tripping up and keep tripping up?
mm.
Who wants to be hurt for crying out loud? Who wants
And
to,
you go into a relationship because you want you in your mind you think this is forever. So
yeah.
nobody goes into a
Well,
relationship to break up.
you say that, but not everybody does. Not everybody does go into
I
a
guess.
relationship saying it, thinking it's forever. This is the thing.
Mm.
Some people have other intentions. Some people have side motives.
Well, that's
That's the
why I
thing.
want to pray and be discerning enough to,
Yeah,
so that God can tell you, run, don't
yeah,
do it.
yeah,
You know?
absolutely. But some of
Yeah.
us are people like, and that's. I think you're right. That was how I was in the second part. I was
Mm,
so down in the first that
mm,
I was looking for, I would say, earthly saviors.
mm,
I was looking for somebody to pour out all this love that I have. I
mm,
want to pour it out. I want to give it to somebody. I want to share it. I've got so much to give. And I didn't do my due diligence. I didn't.
mm,
I went into it too fast, too soon. And by the time I wanted to get out, it was
Mm.
too late because I had
Yeah.
already found out I was pregnant. And that was a
Yeah.
big deal for me, you know, because
Mm.
for me, it was like it was too late. I was engaging in something that I feel like I didn't believe in, but I did
Mm.
it because I had needs.
Mm.
Um, and I can't be fake about that. I would tell my son, you can't be wrong and be strong. You know, you
Mm.
can't do things that don't align itself with what you say you believe and then think it's okay to, flaunt it out there. No, it wasn't
Mm.
okay for me. And so
Mm.
for me, I know that that was something that I have to take responsibility for.
Right. Okay. Okay. Ryan, oh, thank you so much for joining, Ryan. Ryan says, Mercy, did you have any suspicion or intuition about of this side of him since you met? Or was it a character that came up unexpectedly to you?
Um,
I guess for both of them.
for both of them, okay. I have something that I've learned to um, try and get rid of, and people say it a lot to me is I don't know if anybody's heard this terminology, this savior complex.
Yep.
Okay, so I didn't realize I had this savior complex that I could be with anybody, I can, help anybody, I can be there for anybody and give myself. And I think some of the things that I did see, I felt like, oh, I can deal with that. I can live with
Mm.
that. And so, yes, I knew some, but others genuinely was completely hidden until
Mm.
for the marriage, the ring was on, and it was like cards stopped, the romantic gesture stopped, the
Mm.
nice words stopped, you know, saying your all of those things just stopped. Whereas the second one, there was a lot missing. There was a lot
Mm.
missing. But I was so down that I just didn't pay attention. And by the
Mm.
time I realized there's things that I will not and cannot live with, and I backed out, it was already too late.
What were those
And
things that were missing?
the things that were missing for me was that, like I said, I'm a very touchy person.
Mm.
The love language was definitely not the same.
Mm.
The love language was not the same. Yet at the same time, what I loved was the fact that they were so good with the kids
Mm.
initially. You know, they really connected. Like I'm a mother, I've got two children, and my youngest
Mm.
was very young at the time, was just
Mm.
turning two.
Mm.
And so for me, that was like, oh, this person knows how to make my son smile, or
Mm.
is treating them as their own already. And it
Mm.
was like, wow, that's wonderful.
Mm.
Maybe I think that's what I fell in love with without kind of stopping and really looking into real character. I kind of believed the things that I saw on the outside
Mm.
without really taking on board what was on the inside. And that was yeah, and
Okay.
it didn't match. It didn't match with how I am, my
Mm.
lovely, kind, wanting hugs and kisses, and
Mm.
that genuine outpouring
Mm.
of love. Expressions of love. I'm just that person that I just show it in action more.
Mm.
And some people are. I'm not even mad at him like that. Some people are just like that.
Yeah.
Um, it's just they're just like that. Some people
Yeah.
need to find the right person to connect with to bring it out. And maybe I just
Mm.
wasn't that person. I don't know, but I wasn't going to
Yeah.
hang around for another 5, 10 years trying to figure it out. No,
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
been there, done that, had the marriage. I know what you're about now.
Mm.
It's not going to work for me. I don't have to. I'm not going to try and change you. If that's the
Mm.
way you want to roll on.
Knock yourself
Go
out.
ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. JC says one thing I have come to understand in a relationship is that the two must work together to make it work. Just like pushing a car without controlling the steering, in the vehicle ends up in a ditch. And then he continues and says, but when you were not changing, when you got to the point of changing, you bolted out and boom, pregnancy came. Sometimes patience comes to play just at the last minute.
No,
Oh,
I
I
didn't.
mean,
I
you
didn't
can't
book out
predict
when
with
I found out I
pregnancies.
was pregnant. I bolted out before I found out.
Well, there you go. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was after. It was after
yeah,
she left that she found that she was pregnant, JC.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I didn't stick around because I knew It wasn't good. The environment wasn't good. The uh, interaction and communication wasn't good.
Mm.
So yeah, I bolted out because of that. And
Okay.
obviously a few other things. But I'm not someone. Obviously, I stayed in a marriage for 15 years. I'm not someone who just gets ups and goes. I believe in finishing
Yeah.
strong.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that should tell you that if not anything. And I stayed in
Yeah.
this the second relationship for 6 years. So it's not like I just tested the waters. It wasn't nice, and then
Mm.
I bounced out. I do believe in seeking counsel. I do believe in working together, but one can't work by itself. And that you hit the nail on the
Takes
head.
two. It
If
takes
I'm doing
two.
all the work, and I'm really doing, and when I say doing all the work, I mean on a lot of levels, then if
Mm.
I knew it wouldn't work because you have to
Yeah.
give as well. As much as I can try and, you know, I wouldn't even use the word enable instead of, as much as I could try and say, okay, let me step back, let me observe. Doing all those observings and stepping back and watching, and like,
Mm.
how long do you watch for? How long do you wait for someone to take lead?
Yeah.
I don't know if
There's
someone
only
can
so
answer.
much. Yeah.
Yeah, how long do you do the humble, the I'm not going to say
Mm.
much. Okay, let me put things before you. Let me say,
Yeah.
okay, these are the issues, or these are the bills, or these are okay. What do we do? And then you're still not getting the
Mm.
responses, and yet still things are on a timer. Okay, that wasn't sorted out last week. It still needs to be done. I'm waiting for you. You can't do it
Mm.
all. So it's better to know that you're by yourself and you're doing it all than to be in
Mm.
it and expecting it and it's still not getting done.
Mm. Mm. Okay, okay. I'm looking at the time. Right. Thank you so much, Robin. Robin says love language indeed is great. But we also need to understand our needs language. E.g., some people just can't exist without a partner, and that is because they don't know themselves enough, right? That's a good one. And then Ryan says, one last question. In hindsight, did you feel you could have done anything else? Right? And then Mercy says, Jesse says, Mercy, come get a hug. Anyways, the mom's role is the hardest job ever on earth, and it blew some women off and it traumatized some, which affects them additionally postnatal activities. Absolutely, So yeah, so I think what Robin said is quite good. I don't think a lot of people understand what the needs language is about. They probably have heard about the love language, but don't
Yeah,
understand what needs language is.
yeah,
Robin,
yeah,
that's a good one, Robin. Well done. So
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, and
and
you're right. That's why I was trying to describe the difference between the love and the need. The need of, there are bills to pay. Do we
yeah,
know what needs to be done? Those
mm,
some of the needs are things that you can't run away from. They actually need to be done. But
yeah,
yeah, I think it is important to
yeah. But he
definitely.
was also saying that some people actually need a partner. They cannot leave, and I can say that for a fact because I know somebody who, as soon as he broke up with his wife, within a couple of weeks, another woman was in the house because
Mm,
he cannot stand to be alone by himself. So he needs somebody to be himself to because he doesn't know himself well enough, I guess, like what Robin is saying. And Ryan is asking, what in hindsight, did you feel that you could have done anything else, at least to salvage any of the relationships? And he
if
says,
I'm
oh,
being
oh,
honest,
by the way, let me just he asked one last question. He says, I mean, have you learned things over time that you feel you knew could have helped the relationships?
um, I think it goes back to that values thing. I don't think I could have done anything more than what I did. I think
Okay.
maybe the enabling part, maybe I should have. In the first marriage, I enabled a lot. There was a lot that I was doing, and that was purely because of initially circumstance. Okay,
Mm,
and so I did a lot because I was in the position to
mm,
do a lot to make sure our needs were met, and I didn't. I felt that as the wife, it doesn't matter if I'm doing all those things because it's for
mm,
us. And
mm,
when it got to the point where the other person was in the position to do other things and they didn't, so that I could take a step back, it didn't
mm,
happen. And so I was still doing everything, even though they were in a position to take on some of the responsibilities, if that makes sense.
mm. Yeah,
The
yeah.
second time round, I thought to myself, well, I did that the first time, even though they weren't in the position. I took on so much just because I felt, okay, if I can, why not? If I've got the money,
Mm,
why not? If I can do, why not? Second time around, I was more vocal in that I would say, these are the needs.
mm.
This is what we need to function as a whole. You know, what are you bringing? What are you
Bring it
doing?
to the table. Yeah.
Yeah, but with that, there was no, there was nothing coming back. Very little, let me say, very little coming
Mm,
back to meet the full needs of the home, of the
mm,
household.
mm.
And so I think I tried to reflect the first time and try and do things a bit differently. But in doing that, I also feel that I still had that enabling where I would
Mm,
allow a lot of things to slide.
mm.
And a lot of my family would say that I have too much of a long rope. I'm very tolerant,
Because
maybe to
so
a fault.
I guess maybe the reason you were doing that was because you feel you don't want, you got kids, they need a stable home and a stable figure that they can grow up with. What's the point trying to, so you would tolerate a lot,
Yeah,
especially for the sake of the kids,
yeah. No,
you
I
know.
think I'm just generally tolerant. I think some
Mm,
things are character. Like we were talking earlier before about, and I gave the analogy of the snake. Like
mm,
where I said that if a snake bites you or bites you, and you start complaining, oh, why did the snake bite? Like you've let that snake close. Those
mm,
people that put the snakes around their neck and
mm-hmm.
whatever, and it then turns and bites you, and you ask, why did you put this? Why did you allow the snake to bite me? Well, that's the character of the snake.
Of the
That
snake,
is the
yeah.
nature
Their
of
instinct,
the
yeah.
snake. That is their instinct to bite. So even though you may
Mm-hmm.
have trained it to go around people's necks or whatever, if it does happen to bite, you can't complain
Yeah.
because that is its character. So I recognize that some things are characteristics. I'm not going to
Mm,
change it. And my
yeah.
character is that, I am that over, giving person, but it doesn't
Mm,
mean that, I will always allow. I have to learn how to be a bit more discerning, step
mm-hmm.
a bit more, which is maybe why I've been single for over a year. It's because it's
Mm,
that conscious decision to say, look,
mm,
no, just take your time,
mm.
and I always say this, just because you can get a man, it doesn't mean you need to have a man.
There you go.
Just because
There you
people
go.
think you're admired or people want to get with you or be with you, it does not mean if you're not ready, if you're not
Mm.
in the right state, if you don't know what you're giving or bringing, and you don't know what you're just be by yourself.
If you're
Be
not
by yourself.
emotionally ready
If you're
to
not
to
emotional,
to
just be by
yeah,
yourself.
yeah,
Not by force.
totally. Totally. Gosh, okay. Now, first of all, girl, I think there are some people who want to give you a big hug, and I mean, I'm not surprised. There are two men. I think it's JC and Robin. They're struggling to hug you. So Robin says, oi, oi, JC, get to the back of the queue with hugs,
Oh,
okay? There'll be enough to go around, okay? Ryan
oh
says, with
dear.
regards to Brian says, with regards to what the host Cleopatra said about some people needing to be with someone, isn't that normal human characteristics? I guess everybody needs somebody,
Mm,
but at the end of the day, sometimes you might need somebody, and you think you need someone, you get into it, and then you find out that they are bad for you because they're not compatible with you. So best is to take your time and make sure that you make the right decision so that you don't get heartbroken. Trust me, I know.
yeah.
um
We all need the
uh,
right somebody.
yeah, yeah. Edith, hi Edith, thank you so much for joining. And Ryan says, a healthy human characteristic. Yes, it's true, healthy. And JC says, Mercy, marriage is not lovey-dovey, but it's a spice for marriage. But if it becomes the main course, then is a crash because it can't hold water. Are you saying that marriage? You said marriage is not lovey-dovey, but it's a
I
spice for
know that.
marriage. But if it becomes the main course, then it's a crash because it can't hold water. And they're asking, are you willing to try again?
Oh, I believe in love. I believe in love. I believe in, I'm not sour towards men. I don't carry a chip on my shoulder.
Yeah,
I am cautious,
yeah,
absolutely. I have
yeah,
become more, what I think for me, because I didn't hear it enough in relationship and marriage, you're beautiful,
yeah,
you're beautiful. when
Yeah.
I hear that you're beautiful, it doesn't land with me.
Mm.
It
Mm.
doesn't it doesn't excite me when
Mm.
when someone just looks at me and says, "Oh, you're so beautiful." It's like, okay, but know
Mm.
me, know
Mm.
my character, and I do know I have a beautiful character. It's taken a
Mm.
long time to be able to admit that
Mm.
and say that actually you are a good
Mm.
person, you are a
Mm-hmm.
loving person, you are a
Mm.
kind person, you are a giving person. I'm not what's the word? You know, when someone is,
Self-centered.
yeah, I'm not self-centered and I'm not arrogant. That's the word I was looking
Mm.
for. I'm not arrogant or boastful of it. You know, I'm
Mm.
humbled by the compliments, but at the
Mm.
same time, don't just look at me and say, "Oh, you're beautiful."
Mm.
Don't just look at me and say, "Oh, I want to be with you because I see your."
Yeah.
We both have to have the qualities that each other desires and needs. And it is
Yeah.
about needs. I can be realistic and say, you may be handsome, you may do have this, but the fact is I'm a mother of four. So there are
Mm.
needs. And
Mm-hmm.
the fact is, you know, I'm managing my household by myself. So there
Mm.
are needs, you know, but
Mm.
are we compatible? Do we share the
Mm.
same values? Uh,
Mm.
and that's my takeaway now. Like I
Mm.
really, I can respect you. I've got so many men that I will respect and I will
Mm.
take on board that I respect them because they're
Mm.
kind and they're nice. But actually, it
Mm.
doesn't mean because I'm nice to you, because I'm kind or I can care about you, it doesn't mean you're my husband. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean our spirits align. You know, and
Okay.
I've got a few who will say, "Oh, but husband, you're so nice." And I think our spirits know.
I think
I
sometimes you might even, somebody might tell you, oh, I think you're nice and I want to be with you or whatever. But nowadays, you might probably be thinking, is it really coming from a genuine place? Do they really mean what they're saying, or they're just trying to get one up and then that's it, you
right,
know?
yeah.
Um, uh, JC says, no, no, not JC. Special K, thank you so much for joining. Special K says, was there adultery in the relationship, or on both relationships, or was it just a financial problem? Might not be
The
any of
first
them.
one, I would say there was suspicions,
Okay.
suspicions of, but the evidence I was too wishy washy, so I didn't really look at that. And also, I had a thing about if there is, that's for them. What I need
Mm,
to do is cover my children. Um,
mm,
I can't control what they do outside, or
mm-hmm.
what, or and vice versa.
Yeah.
Let's not flip it the other way. But what I have to do as someone of faith is cover my children
Mm,
and cover myself. That you know, if anything of that sort happens, because I'm not someone who can handle
mm,
knowing or can handle that polygamous style
mm.
relationship. If that's you and you think you can get with me, no.
Forget it.
I will not, I cannot, I'm too
Mm,
into you. Like, I want to wear you out as my man. Where
mm,
are you getting the extra energy to go and be
mm-hmm.
with somebody else? Like,
Somebody else.
let me wear you out. Let me, you know, do all the things and communicate with me. Why are you looking outside? What is it
Mm,
outside that you're looking for? And if
mm.
I can't meet those needs, it's fine. You still have to, we're in this together, you
Yeah,
know. So for the
exactly.
first one, yes, but it wasn't my focus. For the second one, um, we weren't married, so you
Yeah,
know, whatever happened outside,
yeah,
I just wasn't involved in that. I just,
yeah,
yeah, I'm not dealing with
yeah.
that. But
Okay.
I covered
Okay.
my children. I had to cover
That's
my
the main
children.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Robin says, quick question. Which would you prefer? Not just you, but anyone single now. So for any single parent, whether woman or man, another marriage or a cat or a dog, either way, why?
What would you prefer? I would prefer another marriage. And what I will say this: there's this rhetoric out there that it's better to be a single mom
Yeah,
because you there's more benefits, or you know, there's just so many rhetorics out there. You
yeah.
get there's a lot of people that have negative things to say. You know, you caused it, you deserve it. You're not strong enough. You know, you didn't bend enough or whatever. There's a lot of rhetorics out there. People have
Mm,
their things that they want to say to contribute to your life that you're
mm,
living and you're struggling. But there's no woman or person that really and truly, if they had that person, wants to do it alone.
mm-mm,
It just doesn't make sense. You know,
mm,
they would want for their partner, whether it's a man or a woman. They would want for their partner to come correct. They would want for their
mm,
partner to be there as a father or a
mm,
mother. They would want for their children to have both good individuals who are feeding into their children well.
mm,
They would want
mm,
that. And there are lots of us as women who, even though it's not great with the partners, still big up the father of our children, still
mhm,
kind of push for their children to have a relationship with the
mm,
father of their children, except obviously if there's some safeguarding issues.
mm,
But yeah, there's a lot of us that still try and do that. So for me, I would definitely want to be with somebody, but the
mm.
right somebody. I
Right
definitely want
person.
that.
Okay, okay. I'm looking at the time, so maybe okay. Very quickly though, do you feel that the society romanticizes single, strong women just to keep them suffering in silence? So that, oh, you're a strong woman. So you think, oh, they think I'm strong. So let me just keep up appearances and just, do you think the society does that or not?
I think it's a double-edged sword.
Mm,
I think it depends where you're at, your age. There are too many factors.
mm,
So, back in the 80s, 90s, it was like, oh, young people were getting pregnant really quickly, and that narrative of get pregnant and you get a flat, get pregnant
mm.
and you have your own property. There was that
Yeah.
big, there was a whole kind of maybe 5, 10 year period in the, let's say, late 80s to the
Mm.
early 90s
In the
where
90s,
there was
yeah.
a lot of young people getting pregnant,
Mm,
therefore have young children themselves. So I think there was that notion was there. But now, I do believe there is a whole empowerment drive going
mm,
on for single mothers. There's a
mm,
whole acknowledgement drive. I wouldn't say
mm,
it's a glamorization of it, but what I
mm,
would say is that there's a whole power drive to say, look, single mom, I see you. Look,
mhm,
single mom, I know that you're struggling. I know it's tough. I see you. From
mm,
men, sometimes I'm amazed at the men that have an outpouring of love to single mothers, maybe because they were raised by single mothers themselves. And then I
mm,
find on the flip side, the women rather are the ones that are saying, how why you're a single mom, you should have stayed in the marriage. It's better for the
mm,
children. You're leaving
mm,
your children without a father. You know, some of these women who are still staying in it. But for me, the moment you start to see a decline in yourself and you're not functioning to your full ability, the moment you see that you're crying more, you're upset
mm,
more, you're experiencing things that physically you shouldn't be experiencing, you have no reason or right to stay in. In
mm,
fact, legally, if you stay in that kind of environment, especially where there's hands being laid,
mm.
you yourself are abusing your children. And
That's
that is
right.
why your children will be removed from you if you stay in those
Mm,
relationships and they get to know. Your children will
mm,
be removed because they don't recognize you that is having handshake, but they
mm.
recognize that that is damaging your
For the
children. You're not
children.
helping them, you're damaging
Yeah.
them. So
Mm,
for me, both sides of the
yeah.
coin.
Yeah. And Robin says exactly. If you have a self-sufficient, a stable ship, you may see similar, but at some stage it's fires, it's guns, broadside. It's hard to find mutuality. Trust even harder without time. Okay, okay, Robin. Thank you. And Marjorie, thanks so much for joining. I think Marjorie, you. Thank you so much for joining. She says, you will be fine. You're a strong lady and beautiful. God bless you. Communication is very, very important. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Marjorie. Thank you for joining. I
Thank you.
appreciate you. Casey says, are you sure you're all that mercy? Are you sure you are all that mercy? Oh, Jesse, what are you trying to say?
I am my name. I didn't get it until I got
Exactly.
older. I am my name.
Exactly.
And those around
Exactly.
me can testify to that. I am
Don't
extremely
don't mind
merciful.
JC. Don't mind JC. Robin says, I love a strong woman. I know you do, Robin. And I'm a strong man. Their metric strengths are great for finessing the stupid alliances in relationships, e.g., the way they clean their teeth. Special K, thank you so much. Special K says the society does support single parents household. However, we can see that there is now a serious problem within our communities. You're sounding like a very emotional person and not dealing rational. And then he goes and quotes the Bible, First Corinthians 7, chapter 7, verse 2, King James Version. Nevertheless, to avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife, and let every woman have her own husband. I'm not quite sure about that special case. Please elaborate on your comment. Society does support single parents household. However, we can see that there is now a serious problem within our communities. You're sounding like a very emotional person and not dealing with rational whatever. Um, you didn't finish that statement. We did talk about society earlier on, Special K. We did talk about it. So expatiate on that. I don't quite understand that statement. Sorry. Robin says, sorry for difficult brevity in messages. Your YouTube is crap as it gives you few characters, unless that is a setting you can change. If so, include emojis and replies to individual messages like in Zoom. Okay. Thank you, Robin. Let me ask you this question then. Like, have you ever had to choose survival over dignity? Sometimes, um, maybe you were skint or you don't have money, or maybe in those days before you started working or whatever, or of single women who are not working, but they don't have a choice. They need to feed their family. They need to have some food on the table. So they have to choose survival. They end up going to food banks and all that. Even though they feel demeaning, they feel embarrassed to do that, but they have
Yeah.
to do that. Have you ever had to do that at all?
Oh yeah, I have. I've had times where, in the past where it's been really challenging
Mm,
financially, and I have. I think I'm quite fortunate because of my background. So working in health and social care, I
mm,
know where I can tap into to get the support. And absolutely, there's been times where I've had to go to the food bank. And yes,
mm,
there is this element of shame because as African people or as Black people, we don't talk about these kind of things.
mm,
Especially when you've got family as well. I have a
mm-hmm,
massive family. My family are there for me. I am so fortunate that my
mm,
family are as supportive as they are. From my older sister to my younger sister, my nieces and nephews who are older, I've got good
mm,
support. But
mm.
that being said, there are times where, you don't want to go to them or you've been going to them for support. And it's like, what else can I get that is closer? What else can I
Mm,
access that is near? And so I would encourage anybody who is struggling, don't leave yourself without for the sake of shame or for the sake of
mm,
pride, or
mm.
don't leave yourself out. It's okay to humble yourself enough to say, I need some financial support, or I need
Help.
the
Yeah.
freebies, or I need the food, or I need the vouchers. They have vouchers. All local authorities, they have voucher systems that support not
Mm,
just single parents, but low income families,
mm.
to be able to get other things. But definitely, I have been in a
Okay.
position where I've had to go to a food bank or, ask for some more support, especially in the stages where, I stopped working and, I
Mm.
was kind of doing it all by myself. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So how's being a single mom affected your ability to form new romantic, I guess, and sexual relationships? Do you ever feel guilty for wanting to be loved, crave that contact anymore?
I think because I've had long-term relationships, haven't I? So
Mm,
15 years, 6 years. So I feel like I've been there, done that in terms
mm,
of giving myself and really serving in the relationship. So
mm,
I am a lot more anxious. I am a lot more apprehensive.
mm,
I am a lot more be for real. Um,
mm,
Also, I'm a lot more because of how it was. Are you going to switch? I don't want to see you loving on me.
mm,
I say that, and I say that I don't want to see you love bombing me or all the niceties.
mm,
I want to see how you deal with me when I mess up.
mm-hmm,
Because unfortunately, some people in relationships know how to throw things in your faces or make you
mm,
feel guilty or guilt trip you when
mm,
you slip up.
mm,
And that was another thing that I had to deal with. That kind of guilt tripping kind of element. And so for me, I want to see how you deal with the times where I may not get it right or I may not understand. That's what I want to see. Or we have an issue. How do you
mm,
resolve them? That's the part that I want to see. I want to
Mm.
see how quickly you get over things and if you drag them on.
Yeah.
Um, so I want to see if your nature or your character is a forgiving one. How do you interact with your family members? How do you interact with those close to you? What comes out of your mouth when you're dealing with other people? All those
Mm-hmm.
things matter. You
True.
know what you say about your friend, your cousin. Those are red signals that I never read into before. But when I look
Mm.
at both of them had that characteristics of talking maybe about an individual in a bad way,
Mm.
and they'd be like,
Mm.
"Oh, well, why do you see the worst in this person?" Or maybe it's not becoming to having assumptions. Are you someone
Mm.
that likes to assume? Are you someone
Mm.
that likes to be judgmental? Those are the kind of things I need to check because I know that that's not my character. I don't like to be
Mm.
judgmental.
Mm.
If I haven't heard from you in a week and you were supposed to be in touch with me, I'm not
Mm.
going to jump down your throat and say, "Why didn't you get in touch with me? You're so bad. You're bad." No, the first thing is going to be, "Are you okay?
Mm-hmm.
What's up with you? Did anything go wrong?" You know, even if we had an appointment and I didn't see you, my
Mm.
first point of call is, "How are you? Was there anything that went wrong?" If you tell me
Mm.
some nonsense, then I can get at you. You're after.
Mm.
Let me check in with you first. And that's
Mm.
the kind of characteristic that I want to be engaging with because that's how I am. And maybe I didn't do that enough. I didn't check the character enough.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Um, Robin says you have to protect what you have and work for. You don't want to jeopardize, but you want to be open enough for new partners. Difficult. Most people choose one or the other. Yeah, I guess, And JC says, Mercy, those women are talking based on their orientation and culture.
I
Okay.
think you were talking about when I was talking about, the women that have been judgmental and saying,
Yeah,
"Oh, you're a
exactly.
single mom. Why do you want, why would you leave a
Yeah,
relationship?"
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
and I get
Uh,
that. I understand where they're coming from. I
Yeah. I
get
mean,
it, but it doesn't mean I agree with it.
exactly,
If that's
exactly.
all they've known, like our parents, there's this big
Mm,
shift because the Western world is opening people's eyes a bit more to
mm,
some visible things that really impact life. And, some of them were not happy. Some of them were being abused, but they put up with it or they accepted it. And a lot of individuals watch their parents, either mother or
mm,
father, growing up in a miserable relationship. And that's
mm-hmm.
the truth. And they stayed in it because they
Yeah.
knew no better.
Mm-hmm. Or they didn't have any means of, like, if they leave, how are they going to look after the
Yeah,
kids? So they stay
yeah,
there and just suffer in silence.
yeah.
Chief, are you about to thank you so much. Chief says, thanks for opening up, Mercy G.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
you're loved, Mercy. You're loved. You're loved.
Thank
So let me ask you then, do you ever envy ladies who haven't got any kids because they're free to do whatever they like and all that? Do you ever envy them at all?
Not particularly. Um, and I just say that because I'm a lover of children.
Mm,
And I know I will work to make it work. And I also know, even though it doesn't get better,
mm,
you're your children are more dependent on your physical presence when they're younger, right? But
mm,
they're getting older, and it doesn't mean the problems don't shift and change, but you definitely will have more freedom to
mm,
do the things that you want to do or the things that you like to do
mm,
as they get older. So I know a time is coming where, I'll have more me time, but until then,
mm.
you know,
Yeah.
I mix it up. I'm still proactive. I still go out. I
Hmm.
still speak at events and have a night out, and I can still afford to, you know, go out with my friends or so. Yeah, so I do have some freedom.
I was going to ask actually, do you feel sometimes that women judge you more harshly than a man would, for instance? Have you ever felt that?
Yes, some, especially
Okay.
our old school women. I say
Oh
that
yeah.
nicely.
Mm,
Say that nicely and respectfully. Especially our women who are still kind of in the mindset that
mm,
it's okay to be in a relationship that is not treating you right. Like you should
mm,
just stay for the kids, especially those. And the other
mm,
thing is, I was listening to a TikTok the other day. This
mm,
lady jumped on. I'm going to share this real quick, and she said, any woman over 40, has no business being picky about being in a relationship. Any woman
Mm,
over 40 has no business of being selective or choosy, because when you were younger, you were choosy and you were selective. And look where it's
mm,
landed you. You're 40 and you're not married. Leave the single men and just choose whoever you wanna, whoever comes your way. Stop being picky. And I
mm,
was like, what? Like, because
mm.
I'm single and I'm a certain age and I'm a mother, I should what, just take anybody that comes my way? No.
Singlehood and desperation are two different things.
Yeah,
You can be single but not desperate.
correct.
And there are some people who are single and desperate, so they
Yeah,
land themselves in trouble.
yeah,
If you've been through a lot, you know what you want. You will not settle for less just because people expect you to, be in a relationship.
yeah.
Special case says, sorry, this is a one-sided story. Sounds like the men had issues, but she was perfect in both relationships. Sounds judgmental from my part, but that's just a fact. You're entitled to your opinion, Special K. But what would you say with to that, Mercy?
Well, if Special K was listening from the beginning, I did kind of say that, some of their characteristics were because of, their knowing their backgrounds. And so
Mm,
I wouldn't necessarily change them. They are the way they are.
mm-hmm,
So I just know what I can and can't deal with. And so,
mm.
yes, I recognize that they had some issues, but I'm not going to apologize for being the kind of person I am. There are some
Absolutely.
good people out there. There are some people that really try. There are some people that want to see the best in people. And when you
True.
draw near enough to those people, you'll
Mm,
realize that it's not a show because they've been consistent. They've always been
mm,
this way. When
mm,
people, the descriptions I was given as a child, I'll give you this. I was reading my we called it NRI, Record of Achievement. As a
mm,
16-year-old, I was reading that. And all the
mm,
characteristics that they were describing, the teachers and everything, then are the
mm,
same characteristics I have now. So
mm,
it's not like, oh, you've changed your spots or you were one way before, you're this way now. No, there's a level in character that remains consistent, and I don't
mm-hmm.
need to prove myself to anybody or show
Exactly.
myself to anybody. The genuineness is there because that is the person how God created me. We're all created differently. So
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes people have to recognize that there are some people that are genuinely created nice, good,
Yeah.
genuine, kind,
Yeah.
caring, loving. There are some of us
Mm,
out there without any
yeah.
hidden agenda who don't want to play games. I don't want
Yeah.
to play the games. I don't want to have to, you did this, oh, you did this to me,
Mm.
so I'm going to do that. That tit for tat kind of thing, or you do me, I do you. It just doesn't,
That's immaturity, even.
I just don't
You know.
have the time, I don't
Yeah.
have the patience for that.
Special case, special case says I was not listening from the beginning, so I missed a lot of the previous conversation. Absolutely, you did. So I guess that's where your comments are coming from because you think you were not there from the beginning. So yes, please, this from this week onwards until further notice is 6 p.m. Now. So join at 6 p.m. next time, Special K. But it's always good to have you. And JC says, I strongly believe that issues like this always have two sides to it, but for the sake of opening up and sharing your story helps one to get healed quickly. Absolutely, I agree with that. And Robin says, at Special K, you may be very right, but we all talk from our own perspectives and so seldom have exterior baselines. Just being on here is courageous and being open to any correction and guidance. Absolutely. It takes a woman who's brave, who's strong, and who actually has grown to come here and speak her truth, and it's her truth, and so we definitely need to appreciate and respect that.
Yeah,
And Robin says, and there are some genuinely, uh, well, I guess when they say genuine people who are dicks, and so many people don't, and so people may say, don't be a dick. Sorry, YouTube. Robin, help me here.
yeah.
Okay. Right. Okay. Let's talk about child support now as well. Like, is child support a right, especially in this society, or a necessity? Has it ever felt like a weapon for you? Like, do you feel like the system is supporting or supportive to single mothers,
To some
or they've
degree,
punished you for
yeah.
being a single mom? Mm,
Yeah, I think the system is supportive to single mothers in that,
mm,
if they recognize that you're a single mom, they know that you need an additional financial support, especially in this day and age, to raise your
mm,
kids. It's never enough,
mm,
because, the average amount that it takes to raise one child in a year is over £14,000 in
mm,
London. So it is
mhm,
quite expensive. It's not anything to take lightly. But at the same time, I'm a strong believer in just, and I don't want to. It's not that the fathers they give what they feel they need to give. Um,
mm,
may not be what I want them to give or the amount that I want them to give, but they give
mm,
and they're
mm,
doing in that respect. But at the same time, I never use that as a ballpoint to kind of say, give me more, give me less, or if you don't give
mm,
me a certain amount. There was actually a
mm,
point in time where it was the threat was on the other side that if you don't do this, I'm going to withhold the money. And for me, I was like, well, do that, but the children will
mm,
still eat. They'll still be looked after. You know, God gave them for a reason. They will be provided for. You
mhm,
can't use
mhm,
that something to hold me at gunpoint, or
mhm.
what's the word? I don't know what the word is, but you know what I mean. You
Yeah,
can't use
totally.
that as something to kind of hold me ransom. I'm
Yeah.
not going to give you the money, or you're not going to. No, they will still be
Mm,
taken care of. So I
mhm,
never make that the focus. I
mm,
never make that
mm,
the like, oh, give me this
mm,
amount. This is how much it's going to cost. If they
mhm,
give, fantastic. Whatever they've agreed to, we've agreed to. Wherever it lands is what I
mm,
accept, and the rest, I definitely do ask for more when I need to. If it doesn't
mhm,
come, okay, I have to move on. They still, that's the difference. When you're the
mm,
parent who is the carer, regardless of if it's the man or the woman, whatever
mm.
the case, you have to show up for your children. You do
That's
not
right.
have a choice. You do
Yeah.
not have a choice whether you turn up and show up or not. They fall,
Mm,
you're the one that's there. They're sick in bed, you're the one that's there. You don't have a choice.
mm.
You turn up and you show up, regardless
Yeah.
of what the other person is doing.
That's right. That's right. Okay, final question. If you could say one brutal, honest thing to your child without being judged, what would it be? What advice would you give to your child, whether girl child or male child or both?
I'll tell you what brutal thing I did say to my child. That
Mm,
was a confession. I said to my child that what mummy is doing for mummy is not right. And that was
mm,
when I had with my son. That was when I had my ex partner move in with us.
mm,
And because of my faith, I don't believe in that. But I allowed it and I did it.
mm,
And it never sat well with me. And it's
mm,
okay if that's how other people are, or if that's what they're doing. My main thing is that if something worries you and is troubling you
mhm,
enough and is worrying you enough, then you can't really accept it.
mm,
If something is bothering you enough, it means that it's not right for you,
mhm,
not the right fit for you. So I did
mm,
say to my son, this is not right for me. And this
mm,
is, biblically as well, it's not something that I can say is allowed. But mummy is
mm,
doing it and mummy's not happy about it. And so I
mm,
had to do something about it. I knew I would have to do something about it eventually.
mm,
So I would
mm,
say to my child, look at values and alignment. Do not rush.
mm,
Make sure that whoever it is you're engaging with know where their values lie, know whether they align themselves with yours, whether you're the man or the woman, because
mhm,
that essentially, and when I say values, it covers everything. Values cover
mm,
their style of communication. Values
mm,
cover whether they think respect is necessary. Values
mm,
cover whether or not they are, they believe in showing up and turning up at occasions and birthdays. Values covers everything. Once your
mm,
values align, it covers their love language, what they think is important, because if you have aligned values, then you're able to say, okay, we definitely someone we may not agree all the time, but along
mhm,
the way we will come to a place of agreement and rest,
mm,
or we'll
mhm.
agree to disagree and move
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
So that's what
Yeah.
I would say to my child. Don't be in a rush.
Don't be in a rush. There's plenty of time to navigate this thing called love and friendship, and
And life,
relationships.
yeah,
Plenty
definitely.
of time. No rush at all. Now, JC says, how many kids do you have? But you were blessed with kids and given the opportunity, will you have one more baby? I know Messi has 4 kids, but would you have any more?
I'm 45 with 4 kids. You're asking for that more.
Mhm.
That's a good question. Who asked that?
JC.
JC. Okay. Let me answer honestly. Um, if I was married and my husband wanted another child and we had financial stability and he absolutely, this is something that he wanted, I
Mm.
would consider it. And I would
Hmm.
consider it because obviously I want to be able to, be in a position to be able to. I know I can raise children well, but you need support. I know
Yeah.
I'm a good mother. I know I'm a good person. I know I instill good values into my children, but you need support. So if I was with somebody that I knew was hands on, supportive, had the financial means to carry
Hmm.
all of us, whether it's 5 or 6, I would consider it,
Mm. Okay.
possibly,
Wow.
if my body would allow.
I mean, why not? If your body would allow it, then why not? Let's see. Robin says, "Oh gosh, let me go back." JC says there are women in the world. There are more women in the world than men. Mind you, the ratio is alarming. Soon to be 1 man to 20 women. Actually, no, no, it's already 1 man to 20 women in some parts of the world. Because I watched a YouTube video. Was it a few days ago? This place, I think it's called Latvia. I'm sorry, Latvians, but I only saw it on the video. I don't know whether it's true or not. But there was this video about beautiful, like when you say women, these women are beautiful. They are very beautiful, tall, blonde hair, blue eyes, beautiful women, but there are very few men there. So they literally have to um, literally settle to be maybe the second girlfriend or the third girlfriend in a relationship, or even beg men or pay for men to be in a relationship, because the ratio to from man to women there is like 1 to 20 kind of thing or more. So yeah, it does exist, and there are some parts of Africa actually where the government is actually begging
Improving.
men to marry, yeah, to marry more women because there's so many women who are single. So they're asking the men to marry more wives just to take a lot of the women off the streets. Okay. So
Take her
yeah.
off the streets, like we've
Take her
got
off the
shelf one.
streets.
Take her off the shelf.
Take her
Really?
off the shelf.
Oh
you
my
know.
goodness. Yeah, that wouldn't be me.
Yeah, but seriously, Mercy, this has been raw truth, revolutionary even. You peeled back the skin and of silence and exposed what society normally would not talk about. A lot of people will not want to share their story of being a single, the good, the bad, the ugly, but you talked about everything. You stood in your scars, not for applause, but to just speak your truth. So
Yeah,
what we witnessed here tonight wasn't just an ordinary words that somebody just wants to say for the sake of it. It
yeah,
was it was a reclamation. Sometimes we love to crown single mothers and say, oh, you're strong and everything and all that, but no one ever stops to ask them, that strength, what is it costing you, in your life, in your relationship, in your heart, in your emotions, mentally, physically, emotionally. What is it costing you to be that strong single mother? Not just for the girl child, but for the male child, because you've got a teenage boy, haven't you?
yes. I've
You
got
know,
2 boys, 2 girls. So
yeah,
you know,
exactly.
it's hard. It's hard. I'm not gonna lie. It is very hard work. It is
But do the men, do
physically
they actually,
challenging.
do they help out in any way with child
Um,
support?
well, the men with the child
Mhm.
support.
Yeah, the fathers, yeah,
I mean, I think money is one thing, finances is one thing, but the physical engagement, the
it's
physical,
another thing.
is another thing. And
Mm,
that's there is twofolds. The
mm,
challenges are just so many, but it's
mm,
hard work because it's physically tasking. It takes
mm,
a lot out of you,
yeah.
to be there. But then the rewards, I mean, so wonderful. And you can only, I think I'm blessed. I'm
Mm,
humbly blessed that I'm in the work that I've done, the family that I have. They've got other male role models
mm,
in their lives. Um, so I'm quite blessed, but it doesn't mean I haven't, and I absolutely have had times where
Mm,
I feel like I cannot take anymore. I'm actually
mm,
too tired. I've had times where I've said, Lord, if you take me today, I know my children will be looked after, but I'm
mm,
tired. I'm physically or I'm unwell,
mm,
and it's like who is going to take these children? Where
mm,
how are they going to be taken care of? I am tired. So there
mm,
you have to be real with that. It's not
mm,
easy. It's not something I would choose to do again.
mm,
If I had another life, I wouldn't choose to be a single parent. But what I do love is that I'm able to try and be as balanced as I can for my kids, keep it
mhm,
real for my kids, still
mm,
teach them to love, even though
mhm,
they may not be loved in return.
mm,
Still trying. I really teach them a lot of them, even as young as they are, emotional
mm,
intelligence. I really teach them that look, somebody may hurt you, but it doesn't mean
mm,
you have to hurt them back. Yes, you can be
mhm,
firm, you can be strong, but it doesn't mean you have to do it back to them. Does
mm,
it change the situation if you hurt them back? Did you get back what they took? Did you get back the hurt? No.
mm.
So
True.
I think it is a lot about, for me, my duty is to make sure I raise those children right, and I
Right,
can still get
exactly.
love in that process. I can still,
That's right.
make sure that somebody, the right person, is loving
Mm,
on me. And I was vulnerable at coming out of my first marriage. That's
mm,
the other thing. And I think there are some individuals that prey on
mm,
vulnerability, single
mm,
women. And that's what I found. I found that personally, there are individuals that prey on single mothers and
mm.
that is a whole different talk show.
Another
Seriously.
talk show altogether,
You
honey.
know,
Yeah,
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 there are people that prey on single mother. Oh, you're single. You have to have somebody. Let me come in. Let me move
yeah,
in. You have to be mindful. Yes,
yeah.
I was vulnerable, and if you're coming out of something, you do need time to heal. You do need
To
time
heal.
to look at where
Um,
you went wrong as well. I
mm,
think it was Ken that would say, Kenny that would say, what did you do wrong? Where did
mm,
you need time to pick that up, to figure
mhm,
that out as well.
mm, mm,
So it's okay to be single for a while.
mm. Okay, okay. I'm going to round up now. I know there's so many things to talk about, but I'm looking at the time. I don't want to exceed an hour and a half, so I'm going to round up. But I'm just going to say that, Mercy, as I was saying earlier, yeah, you've reminded us that strength isn't just smiling through pain. It is screaming sometimes in secret and still showing up, like you said earlier. You still show up. It's been, you're shattered, like you said, but you're still making breakfast. You're still taking care of the kids. You're still, you showed up and you've showed us what it means to fight for love. Because regardless, your kids, you're trying to make them feel love so that they don't even miss the fact that they don't have a dad with them and all that. So you've not just expressed your vulnerability, but you've shown us that despite everything, you're still able to help build those kids to make them better versions of themselves, even though they don't have a father figure. But God is their father, isn't it?
Yeah,
you know God, and if you're raising them up in the fear of the Lord, they will grow up to be
absolutely,
outstanding
absolutely.
citizens. And what you've done also tonight is you've given a voice to thousands of women who are in the same situation.
Yeah.
You've like spoke their minds, because a lot of them will probably not want to say anything normally because they feel shy, or they don't want to get stigmatized or embarrassed and all that. But to every single mother watching this, whether you're laughing through the ache or you're quietly falling apart, hear me now, single mothers. Yeah, you are not broken. You are not less just because you're a single mom. You are not alone. Even you should, you know, there are people who are willing to support you, and even the system that we live in are willing to support you. Like they usually say, it takes a community to raise a
Absolutely.
child,
That's right.
right? Yeah, you are a love story that doesn't need fixing in a way. You're a force to the world. Because you're still raising kids despite the fact that you're going against the natural law of things, because you're supposed to have a husband there with you, but you're their mother, you're their father. And if you're angry, sometimes your rage is righteous. If you have dreams and you wish, oh, I wish I could fulfill these dreams and all that, but because you got kids, those dreams are not being fulfilled. Those dreams are still valid and you can still fulfill them. You know, don't feel less than you are, and you feel, oh, I've got kids now. Who's gonna want me? Mercy's still being rushed. Even here, people are dying to hug her and kiss her and everything else. So don't feel less than you are. You're not a footnote in someone else's story. All right, you are the story, because you've shared, you share your story all the time. So if it's the first time that you've seen this, uh a woman that's sharing her story just like you would have loved to share her story, know that you're not alone. Right? If there is some, do you have like a group, Mercy, like a place where you single moms come together and just support each other and help lift each other up as well? Have you ever
I
seen
don't
it?
have a place where single mothers come. I do have obviously my charity, One Life, One Love Healthy Lifestyle Foundation. And we
Yes.
run regular workshops every first Saturday of the month. Uh,
Okay.
and we can come to any borough, but currently we're in Hackney. And what that means is we get professionals to come,
Yeah.
different professional backgrounds. So the next one will have a psychiatrist who's
Yeah.
come in, and previously we've had image consultant,
Mm,
Nevo, who's been on here
mm.
as well. And so we get these
Nice one.
professionals to come, and in that, we have stories, we have people who are in a place where they can express and talk about their
Mm,
experiences to better them as people. And we talk about
mm.
mental health, which is my background.
Yeah.
But we kind of build each other, build ourselves up mentally to be
That's
able to
really
deal
good.
with some of the knockbacks of life.
Yeah.
Resilience is a powerful thing. And if
Mm,
you're able to, build up that resilience, a lot of things that people do to you in life, you're able to withstand and you're able
yeah.
to work through, process and get over, in a good
Mm,
way, because you said that, single women are strong, but a lot of single women are still crying out for help because they
mm-hmm,
were in a toxic relationship, because they were
mm-hmm,
with a narcissist or someone with
mm-hmm,
personality disorder. And
mm,
it really has taken its toll on them. And they need
mm-hmm,
to work through some of their emotions, some of their mindsets, shift it. Some
mm,
of people have developed negativity, and they're talking in negative ways because of it. And
mm-hmm,
it's not that they're not justified, but to be able to grow and move on, they need to get rid of some of those things. So, yes,
mm-hmm.
those workshops are really good for that sort of thing. So, hit me up, join me, check my page. You'll see a lot about the One Life, One Love workshops. And
Yes.
also go to your local authority. I didn't say, if you're in a place where you need help and support as a single
Mm,
mom, go to your local authority. I would say the town hall is the best place to physically go, because they will have a list of all the support that's available to you, from play groups to food banks to support workers, family support workers who can help you. So definitely go to the local authority and ask them, tell them you're struggling, you need help with X, Y, and Z. They're not going to take your children off you. Don't be scared. They
mm,
don't have the capacity to. There's a myth about that. They don't have
mm.
the capacity to. They'll rather support you through it and get you the help that you need.
Okay, okay, okay. I mean, I wish we could say that also for the African countries, because I don't think there's that sort of
Mm,
help
mm,
in other parts of the world. But in the Western world, there is support for people, for single moms, single dads.
yeah.
And like, if you're a single dad on this show and you want to come on the show to talk about your experience as a single dad, please hook me up. All right. Either send me a text. All right. You got my number. Or send me an email to empowerlifewithcleopatra@gmail.com. Right. Please. Robin says, sorry at Special K, but the KJV original is not the original. It's an interpretation. Okay. Yeah. For the Bible and all that. And hi, Kingsley. Thank you so much for joining. Kingsley, thank you so much. It is well. Casey says, good evening, everyone. It is well, Mercy. Yes, it is well.
Yeah.
Bumi, thank you so much for joining. Good evening.
Amen.
Ryan says, thanks, Mercy, for sharing your experience. Thank you so much. And
Thank you,
Ryan,
Ryan, for your
Casey
comment.
says, age has nothing to do with babies, but finances is key in everything. Even when you are on your own, you need money. Absolutely. Um, and Robin says, P.S. If Mercy or you, Cleopatra, needs hug, the latter, Cleopatra knows I'm a great hugging machine. 10 seconds of hug can physically offset a whole day of stress. I
Yeah.
hear you, Robin. Robin is actually about 6'4", 6'4", 6'3", 6'4". So
Oh,
yes.
wow. So we'll
Yeah.
feel the full force.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you, everyone.
Uh, yes, and yeah, and he says, I'm sure we have already covered it, but why do such women select such sis, the bad boy, the intrigue, the alpha male that actually is far from it. Yeah, I mean, women like good bad boys, I guess. You know what I mean? It's just that some of them are not just, they're bad boys, but they come out as good bad boys and you think they're
Yeah,
good, but
let's
they're actually
start
bad
with
boys.
yeah, yeah.
What
No,
can
I
you
want the
say?
good one. I don't want the bad one.
Yeah, exactly. We want the good boys. We want the good ones, right? So
Yeah,
thank you so much, guys. Thank you, guys. If you've enjoyed this show tonight, I didn't want to interrupt Messi too much, so I didn't ask you guys to share or to subscribe. But please, you have to subscribe. If you haven't subscribed already, I know most of you have, but if you haven't, please subscribe to this show. It's been an amazing show, and thank you so much. And keep dropping the comments even after the show, guys. You can still
yeah.
go back and watch it again and drop the comments and tag somebody who you think might want to, that would learn from this as well, right, guys? Thank you so much for joining. This has been Empower Life with Cleopatra, where we don't whisper, we roar, we don't just talk about change. We become it, we
Yeah.
become change, guys. Thank you so much for watching once more. This has been Empower Life, and guys, thank you. Have a good week. Till next time. Next week's gonna be a good one. Till next time, like I always say, be bold. Mercy, you are so sweet. And thank you so much for joining. Thank you for sharing your truth. I respect you. Hats off to you, a mom of four. Hats off to you guys. Thank you
Thank
so much,
you.
Mercy. I love you. Mwah. Everyone,
Thank
thank you so
you.
much for joining. Guys, thank you
Thank
for all
you.
your comments. We love you. We love you. We love you. We love you. Be bold, guys. Be kind. But most importantly, guys, be absolutely unapologetically empowered. Until next time,
Amen.
I love you for watching. Thank you, guys. Bye. Bye, Mercy. I love you. Bye,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Empower life with Cleopatra. Awaken the best version of you. Unlock your true potential. Empower your mind, body, and soul. Live with intentions, live with a purpose. Empower your dreams, make it happen today. No matter your age, rise and shine. Live boldly, live authentically. It's your time to rise and shine. Empower life with Cleopatra. Awaken the best version of you.
Hassan. Trinity.
Your journey starts today. You've got one life
Been
to
itching
live.
on it. We need to blow dry your
Love
hair out. So I'm
yourself,
going
be
to do that
kind
before I
to
finish.
others,
So
break free
I'm
and
going to
let
do.
your
Why are you
spirit
half naked?
soar.
Where's your
Empower life
okay,
with
don't spoil your clothes.
Cleopatra. Will
You
help
like your
you
clothes so much.
awaken the
Yeah,
best
I'm
version of you.
where's her clothes?
Empower life with Cleopatra.
My destiny. This is too small for you now. But listen, where's the guy? Where's the guy? No, how could I for my life? Well, how can I answer when I'm on a live? Excuse me, give me 5 minutes. Well, I can't do that on a live. No, I didn't do it.